Imagine for a moment that the life you truly want, the freedom you dream about, the wealth you secretly think about when no one is watching, and the happiness you long for is not something waiting outside in the world for you to find. It is not sitting in someone else's bank account. It is not hidden in some distant city. And it is not locked in luck that only a few chosen ones ever receive. The truth, as William Anderson so beautifully explains in his book Unlock Your Hidden Fortune, is that everything you desire is already within you, quietly waiting for you to recognize it and unlock it. The hidden fortune of your life is not money alone. It is the treasure of potential, creativity, persistence, confidence, and discipline that is buried inside your own mind. And the moment you begin to understand that, your life starts to change. From the very beginning of time, the most successful people in history were not always the smartest or the most talented, but they were the ones who understood how to master their own thoughts. They knew that every great achievement first begins as a single idea. Every invention, every business, every piece of art, every movement that changed the world, all of it started inside someone's imagination. The airplane was once only a dream in the minds of the Wright brothers. Electricity was once only an idea in the thoughts of Thomas Edison. The skyscrapers you see today were once pictures in the imagination of architects who refused to stop thinking bigger. And if this is true for them, it is true for you. Your future, the version of your life that you long for, already exists as an idea in your mind. But the question is, what are you doing with those thoughts? Are you feeding them, nurturing them, protecting them? Or are you letting them slip away under the weight of doubt, fear, and distraction? Most people never pause to think about what they are thinking. They let their minds run like a wild horse, out of control, moving in random directions with no destination. They focus on problems. They think constantly about failures. They rehearse fears in their heads. And then they are surprised when life gives them more of the same. If you live in worry, you will attract more situations to worry about. If you constantly tell yourself you are unlucky, you will keep experiencing bad luck. But if you can shift your thoughts, if you can consciously decide that your mind will be a garden where only strong and positive ideas are planted, then step by step, you will watch your life transform. But thought alone is not enough. As Anderson explains, thought must be combined with desire. Nothing in this world has ever been created without the fuel of desire. Desire is the fire that makes you wake up early, that makes you stay up late, that makes you keep going even when the world doubts you. Think about the people who inspire you. They are not necessarily the ones who had everything easy, but the ones who wanted something so badly that they refused to quit until they got it. Desire is the difference between a passing wish and a burning obsession. A wish is like a candle in the wind. It can be blown out by the first obstacle. But desire is like the sun. It rises every single day, no matter what. When you say you want to be successful, do you really want it? Or do you only wish for it when things are comfortable? Real desire means you decide that failure is not an option. You tell yourself, I will do whatever it takes. I will learn. I will fail and get up. I will struggle and grow, but I will not give up. That kind of desire makes you unstoppable. And the best part is, desire can be strengthened. Every day when you think about your goals, when you write them down, when you visualize them, when you remind yourself why they matter, your desire grows stronger. It becomes a living force that pulls you forward, even when the road gets dark. But here's another secret. Desire must be directed towards something clear and specific. Most people fail because their dreams are too vague. They say they want success, but what does success mean? They say they want wealth, but how much wealth and for what purpose? Anderson emphasizes that you cannot hit a target you cannot see. If you want your hidden fortune to unlock, you must define exactly what you want. Not someday I want to be rich, but I want to earn this amount of money by this time through this kind of work because it will allow me to live this kind of life. That level of clarity turns a dream into a goal, and a goal into a plan, and a plan into action. And once action begins, life begins to move in your favor. Faith is the next step. You may have thought, you may have desire, you may even have a clear goal, but without faith, you will not persist. Faith is the ability to believe in something even when you cannot see it yet. Faith is believing in the seed when there is no tree. It is trusting that if you plant and water and protect your ideas, they will grow in time. People without faith give up when they do not see immediate results. They plant the seed and dig it up the next day to check if it's growing. But people with faith understand that patience is part of the process. They know that every action, no matter how small, is building towards something greater. Anderson explains that faith is not something you are born with, it is something you practice. The more you tell yourself, I can do this, I will do this, the more you train your mind to believe. Affirmations, visualization, repeating your goals, surrounding yourself with people who uplift you. All of these are ways to feed your faith. And as your faith grows, your confidence grows. And when confidence grows, fear begins to shrink. Fear, Anderson reminds us, is the biggest thief of fortune. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of criticism, fear of loss. All of these fears live in the human mind, and they paralyze action. But here is the truth. Fear is not real. Fear is only a story you tell yourself about something that has not even happened. Fear is imagination used in the wrong way. The same imagination that can build dreams can also create fears. But if you choose to focus that imagination on possibilities instead of dangers, your fear begins to lose power. Every great person you admire was afraid at some point, but they acted anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in the presence of fear. And once you learn to move forward despite fear, you begin to live a life most people only dream about. Persistence is the quality that separates the dreamers from the achievers. Many people start with excitement, with passion, with hope. But when the first obstacle appears, they stop. They think the struggle means they are not destined for success, when in reality, the struggle is the path. William Anderson says that persistence is the silent force that keeps the door open until opportunity walks in. You may not see results immediately, you may not feel progress daily, but every time you push forward when it would be easier to quit, you are strengthening yourself. Success is rarely the result of one massive action. It is the accumulation of countless small steps, repeated over and over with consistency. The world often tests you to see how badly you really want something, and persistence is your answer. It is your way of saying, I will not give up, I will not stop, I will keep going until I win. There is a story Anderson shares of a man who dug for gold. He worked tirelessly, day after day, But after months of digging and finding nothing, he gave up and sold his land. The new owner hired a geologist who studied the land and pointed out that the man had stopped digging just 3 feet away from one of the richest gold veins ever discovered. 3 feet. That is how close he was to success. And he quit because he lacked persistence. How many of us do the same in our own lives? We try a business, we try a skill, we try to change our habits, but when results don't come fast enough, we stop, not knowing how close we might have been. Persistence is not glamorous. It is not exciting. It is showing up when you feel tired. It is practicing when no one is watching. It is pushing through boredom, through doubt, through frustration. But it is persistence that turns potential into reality. As you persist, something else begins to change inside you. You begin to develop self-discipline. Anderson calls discipline the invisible hand that guides fortune. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. Without discipline, desire fades, goals scatter, and faith weakens. But with discipline, you create momentum that builds upon itself. Think of discipline like training a muscle. At first it feels hard, even painful, but the more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. When you decide to wake up early every day, when you decide to control your spending, when you decide to study instead of wasting time, you are building discipline. And once discipline is strong, success becomes inevitable, because your actions will no longer depend on moods or emotions, but on commitment. Decision-making is another pillar of unlocking your hidden fortune. Indecision is the graveyard of dreams. People who cannot decide, who hesitate, who wait for the perfect moment, never begin. And in waiting, they watch opportunities slip through their fingers. Successful people are not always right, but they are decisive. They make choices quickly. They act and they adjust as they go. They understand that life rewards action, not hesitation. If you want to unlock your hidden fortune, you must train yourself to be decisive. The longer you delay, the weaker your desire becomes. The more you postpone, the heavier your fear grows. But when you decide and act, even imperfectly, you create movement. And movement creates opportunities you could not have seen while standing still. As you continue this journey of thought, desire, faith, persistence, discipline, and decision, you begin to notice a transformation in your mindset. Anderson explains that mindset is the foundation upon which everything else is built. If you see the world as hostile, you will always feel like a victim. If you see the world as abundant, you will find opportunities everywhere. Mindset is not about ignoring problems. It is about choosing how you interpret them. The same storm that destroys one sailor pushes another toward new lands. The same rejection that breaks one person motivates another to improve. The difference is mindset. When you build a mindset of growth, a possibility, of resilience, you no longer fear challenges because you understand they are part of your growth. But growth also requires imagination. Anderson insists that imagination is the workshop of the mind. Everything created in this world was first imagined. If you cannot see it in your mind, you will never hold it in your hand. Unfortunately, as people grow older, they stop imagining. They stop dreaming. They tell themselves to be realistic, to settle, to accept what they have. But the truth is, imagination is not a child's game. It is the engine of human progress. When you allow yourself to imagine boldly, to visualize your life the way you want it, you give your subconscious mind a blueprint to work with. The clearer your imagination, the stronger your motivation to turn it real. This is why Anderson suggests practicing visualization daily. Close your eyes and picture your life as if you already have what you want. See yourself living in the house you dream about, driving the car you desire, traveling to the places you love, working in the career you admire, surrounded by the people who uplift you. Feel it, taste it, hear it, as if it were real now. When you do this with emotion, your brain begins to believe it is possible. And when your brain believes, your actions align with that belief. Over time, imagination becomes reality. But as you walk this journey, obstacles will appear. Failure will happen. Doubt will whisper. And this is where resilience is required. Resilience is the ability to bend without breaking, to stumble without falling permanently, to see failure not as an end, but as feedback. Anderson says that failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. Every successful person failed more times than they succeeded, but they learned to use failure as a teacher. Failure shows you what doesn't work. It sharpens your skills. It strengthens your patience, and it prepares you for bigger victories. The problem is not failure itself, but how people respond to it. Some people use failure as an excuse to quit. Others use failure as a reason to grow. Which one will you be? When life pushes you down, will you stay there, or will you get up stronger than before? Remember, your hidden fortune is not handed to you on a silver plate. It is earned through trials, through mistakes, through persistence. Every time you rise from failure, you prove to yourself that you are worthy of the success you desire. And as you prove this to yourself, something extraordinary begins to happen. You start to attract opportunities. You begin to notice people, ideas, and situations that align with your goals. Some call it luck, others call it coincidence, but Anderson calls it alignment. When your mind, your actions, and your desires are all aligned, life seems to conspire in your favor. You meet the right mentor at the right time, you stumble upon the right information, you find doors opening where before there were only walls. This is not magic, it is focus. When you are clear, persistent, and disciplined, you naturally gravitate toward opportunities that others miss. Anderson emphasizes that gratitude plays a crucial role in this alignment. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you lack to what you already have. When you live with gratitude, you train your mind to see abundance instead of scarcity. Gratitude attracts more to be grateful for. It keeps you positive, it keeps you humble, and it keeps you motivated. If you wake up every morning and say, "Thank you for the opportunities of this day. Thank you for the health I have. Thank you for the chance to grow," you begin the day with a powerful mindset. Gratitude does not mean you settle. It means you appreciate while you strive. Gratitude is the beginning of abundance, but generosity is the proof that you truly believe in abundance. Anderson explains that the people who hold tightly to everything they have, who fear that giving will make them lose, are often the ones who live in scarcity. They never trust that more will come, so they clutch what little they have until it slips through their fingers anyway. On the other hand, those who give freely, whether it is their time, their energy, their ideas, or their resources, live with a confidence that life is abundant. They know that giving is not losing, it is sowing. Just as a farmer must release seeds into the soil to receive a harvest, we must release generosity into the world to receive growth in return. This does not mean reckless spending or blind sacrifice, but rather a willingness to share value, to help others, to contribute without always asking, "What's in it for me?" And in doing so, you build relationships, trust, and goodwill that eventually circle back as opportunities you could never have purchased directly. But generosity must also extend to yourself. Too often, people chase success while carrying guilt, shame, or self-hatred. They tell themselves they are not worthy, not good enough, not capable. Anderson reminds us that you cannot unlock fortune while chaining yourself with self-doubt. You must learn to forgive yourself for your past mistakes, to speak kindly to yourself, to see yourself not as broken, but as becoming. Every person alive is a work in progress, and the hidden fortune within you grows strongest when you treat yourself as someone worthy of care. Success is not just about external achievement, it is about internal harmony. If you reach wealth while destroying your peace, you will feel empty. But if you build wealth while nurturing love for yourself, you will feel whole. Self-image plays a powerful role in this. Your brain is always working to match your reality with the image you hold of yourself. If deep down you see yourself as weak, you will unconsciously sabotage your success. If you see yourself as someone destined for failure, you will find ways to fail. But if you train yourself to see a strong, confident, capable person in the mirror, your actions will begin to align with that belief. This is why Anderson stresses affirmations, daily reminders of who you are becoming. When you wake up and declare, "I am disciplined, I am confident, I am capable, I am worthy," you may not fully believe it at first. But over time, your subconscious begins to accept it, and your behavior shifts to prove it true. And once your self-image shifts, the world responds differently to you. People treat you the way you allow them to treat you. If you carry yourself with confidence, with dignity, with belief in your own value, others will see it and respect it. But if you shrink yourself, apologize for existing, and carry doubt in your tone and body language, people will sense it too. Unlocking your hidden fortune requires that you not only think rich, but act rich in character, in belief, in presence. This has nothing to do with arrogance and everything to do with self-respect. Of course, as you grow, not everyone will celebrate you. Some will criticize, some will mock, some will try to pull you back into the comfort of mediocrity. Anderson warns that this is inevitable. People who refuse to chase their own dreams often feel threatened when they see others chasing theirs. Their criticism is a mirror of their own insecurity. If you let their words stop you, you have handed them the key to your fortune. But if you recognize that their voices are only noise, and you continue forward with clarity, you rise above them. Greatness has always been misunderstood before it was celebrated. Every visionary, every leader, every innovator was laughed at before they were admired. So when you face criticism, remind yourself that it is simply proof you are moving in the right direction. At this stage, Anderson turns to one of the most powerful tools of success: environment. Your environment shapes your mindset more than you realize. If you spend time with people who complain, gossip, and settle for less, you will unconsciously begin to think and act the same way. If your surroundings are full of negativity, clutter, and distraction, your mind will mirror that chaos. But if you intentionally design your environment, both physical and social, to support your goals, success becomes easier. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, who challenge you to grow, who believe in you when you doubt yourself. Fill your space with reminders of your vision, with books that feed your mind, with symbols that push you to act. Your environment is either pulling you toward your fortune or pushing you away from it, and you have the power to choose. But even with the right environment, success demands responsibility. Many people dream of fortune but run from responsibility. They want the rewards without the wait. Anderson argues that responsibility is not a burden, it is a privilege. The more responsibility you take for your life, the more power you gain. When you blame others, when you make excuses, when you wait for someone else to fix your problems, you hand away your fortune. But when you accept full responsibility for your choices, your actions, your results, you take the key back into your own hands. Responsibility is freedom. It means that no matter what happens, you always have the ability to choose.